Dun, 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 dun. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Bum, 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 bum. What's up, party people in the house?
What up, though?
Welcome to Texas Live, one of the sexiest voices in the SFL,
Mr. Master.
Dave Axis. What's up, party people of the SFL? What's going on? What's happening? What is cracking? I'm seeing all the people popping in. Look at all the party people in the house. I see a whole bunch of peeps. What's going on, folks? I see a first-time chatter in SFL, John Fullerton as well. John Fullerton, welcome to the program, bro. And everybody else, welcome to Season 20, Episode 7 of Axis Live, covering Season 20 here in the Simulation Football League. It's good to have everybody here. We've got a jam-packed show, and here's the dealio for tonight. Lisa and I are hitting the road again tonight right after the show. So last week we went 2 hours. I've been trying to do 90 minutes, and we've been kind of cutting the difference, like about an hour and 45. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to rush it, but we'll see. So an hour and 45 minutes, 10:45. That's the over/under. So let me know in the chat. Do you have the over or do you have the under? We do have a lot to talk about. Me personally, I'd probably take the over with the crew that we have tonight. But we will get to them in a moment. Before we get to the crew, the peeps, the panelists, we got to get to the party people, folks. The party people. The reason why I even do this show, it's because of all of you. Let me scroll back and see who the very first person in his house was. And I think this is 2 weeks in a row. Somebody better start beating Zach Holdorf in the house, folks. Number one. Crazy Canuck, you were second. Followed by Bullet Beletsky, the original Ty, which is Tyler. James Walter, thanks for the sub, buddy. Appreciate it. The lovely, amazing, perfect VIP Pink Lisa's in the house. Doug Britton, what's up, Doug? Good to see you, buddy. Will Todd, I think I already said Will Todd. Justin Reside, TP Tac 11, good to see you. Mel Davis, what's up, bro? I had a nice little meme war with your owner in Gen Chat today. It was a lot of fun. We got to get that whole San Diego Portland rivalry going, bro, for sure. Let me see who else is in the house. I see Shut Up Kanye's in the house. Bob Funk, we can't have a show without him. Pseudo Nakai's in the house, folks. The one and only Art Vandelay is in his house. Good to see you, Art. Nate Hall is with us, folks. Twin Screw's here. Twin Screw, what's going on? Good to see you, bud. Remember, if I miss you, go ahead and at me in the chat. Fox Highwind is here. What does the Fox say? Glad to see that's working. SFL John Fullerton, who is here for the first time. Good to see you. Neil Rivers in the house, folks. Neil, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? T to Queen. T, you were cracking me up last week, girl. That was quite possibly the funniest segment we've ever had, and your cackling in the background just made it that much better. Let me see who else we got here. I said Bullet already. I said Nate. A lot of people, just the same people talking. If you want your name called, you got to say something. Josh Farnsy's in the house. Doug Day. David Leathers, the man with the best first name in the SFL. Oh, by the way, you know what tomorrow is, David Leathers? Tomorrow is St. David's Day. Yes. David is such a great name that they decided to make it a freaking holiday. Let me see. King Maximus 44 is in the house. Good to see you. And I think that's everybody. Like I said, if I missed you, go ahead and at me. I don't mind it. So let's move on. Knox City. That's right, baby. Let's move on to the panelists for tonight. Love that for us, David. Yeah, it's great. Actually, I have the graphic. I'll try to sneak it in the show later. Maybe we'll sign off with the St. David's Day graphic. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, let's check out tonight's panelists, folks. One of the people is a first time. Actually, we have two first timers here tonight, believe it or not, which is kind of crazy to think of. In the very first circle is a man who has been here at least once, I think twice, on camera. I don't remember for sure, but I'm sure he will correct me. He also, you'll find out later, I have updated all of the pick'ems, both for first one-time show people and people who have done multiple shows. And this person right here is in first place on the pick'ems going into tonight. Now, he has to pick tonight, so we'll see if he screws that up or not. But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to linebacker from Vancouver, Mr. Josh Farnsey. Josh, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man?
Doing great, doing great. It's second time. I'm just over here getting my last second St. David's Day shopping done.
Dude, I couldn't believe it. I just came across that for the first time last year. And apparently it's March 1st, and I didn't even know about it again. I forgot about it until I don't know how many people follow Wrexham soccer, the one that, what's his name? The actor.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. What's his name?
Ryan Reynolds. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds and the guy from the Philadelphia show, they bought that team. And so I've been following them. They were talking about it yesterday on social media, or else I would have forgot again. But, I don't really like to talk too much about myself, Josh, so that's probably why I forgot.
It's why you're a saint, Dave.
That's why I'm a saint. We know David Leathers is a saint. I don't think saint's ever been associated with my name before, Josh, but I appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being back on the show, man.
Great to be here.
All right, folks, we have a first timer smack dab in the middle tonight, right there in circle number 2. Now, he's new to the show on camera, but he's been a party peep for a long time. He's contributed via voice before, and everybody in the league knows his name. He is definitely one of the many famous hashtag throw it to the tight end peeps that we have in the SFL. From the Arizona Scorpions, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Will Todd to the program. Will, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Dave, what's up?
Oh,
long time fan, first time on camera.
First time on camera. Now, you have been on voice on the show a few times, though, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I thought so, but it's good to have you on the show finally. It only took me like 2 years to get your ass in here.
Well, some people just take a little time.
They take
gotta woo them a little bit.
Yeah, well, I hope it doesn't take another 2 years to woo you back. So welcome to the show tonight, bro.
Thanks, Dave.
You got it. All right, folks. And here, I don't even know why I introduced this guy. I don't even know why I even bother. I should just have him here every week because he's here almost every week anyway. And he sits right there in that corner every single week. Actually, even going back months, even on the old show, he always sat in the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, from the corner, the flat top himself, Tyler Falk's in the house. Tyler, what's going on, buddy?
Well, hi, Dave. I remembered to unmute myself this week, so that's always a good plus.
That's always a good thing. I don't know what the over-under is. I thought this season, because, people are used to it by now, we'd have a lot less. You're muted, bros. I think we've had more this season, to be honest with you.
Especially early on, especially after a few different things happened with Florida being crazy and Louisiana slipping up. They did slip up yesterday, though. Louisiana pulled off a great win yesterday, so I'm all smiles today, Dave.
That's good. Actually, you know what, Tyler, too? I'm going to turn you up just a tad. I guess you must be really loud in sound check.
I was at the 2 and 10 setting.
Oh, wait, there you go. Okay, good. I got you back to the playoff setting now. You're good.
There we
You're
go.
Good. All right, folks, it's that time. Here we go. Who is our surprise top secret surprise, undercover, confidential surprise co-guest host for tonight? Anybody got guesses? Let's see if they can guess. Let's see. We see Gunny, Ray, Chad. Remember, you get swag for this if you win. Bo, no. Guy Clausen, Dave by Candlelight. No, I don't think it's me. Doug, Chad, Ronald Christian, Sully. Ashley, no. I did see Greg Soto. No, I did see somebody guess it. It went by so fast I didn't see who it was. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a first timer up top in the middle. We also have a first timer down here in the bottom left-hand corner, all the way from the studios of the Monday Night Mania that the SFL does every single Monday night. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Hopefully I hit the right thing. Paulie Truth in the house. Paulie, what's up, buddy?
Dave, what is going on, my guy? Appreciate you having me. And I'll tell you what, I'm on these Impact Monday nights, and it didn't hit me until now, being here with you live on Dave Axe's podcast. That I think I really made it here in the SFL now, Dave.
Well, I mean, that's how a lot of people feel. They're like, yeah, I did some stuff with Cam, blah, blah, blah. But now that I'm with you, Dave, I feel like I made the big time. I get that a lot, bro.
Absolutely, that's what I'm hearing.
That's
you know how we do it here in Seattle.
Exactly.
85 Pauly Truth.
Uh-oh, there we go.
Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, that's the same way Will Todd finally got on the show. It took him 2 years of bugging me saying, hey, I hung out with Cam once. Can I be on the show?
Hey, what is it with us tight ends, man?
That's right.
Cam, and now we come to Dave Axe's show,
That's it.
Now we think we made it.
Hey, listen, I've played with some of the best tight ends that have ever been in this league with Benji Matson and Adam Williams. So I love me some tight ends. Frank the Franchise Wade, he's been with me since day one. He used to be a tight end, or he's still a tight end, I think. And so there's a lot of good tight ends, Paulie, in this league, bro.
Absolutely, best position in the league.
Let's
just throwing that out there.
Let's not get carried away, bro. I mean, listen, you should probably quit while you're ahead.
hey,
we know. We all know.
We gotta hype us up somehow.
We all know the diva wide receivers is where it's at. Come on now, bro. Come on. All right. Speaking of diva wide receivers. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Speaking of diva running backs, how about that instead? It's time to move on to bullet points. And Bullet, first of all, welcome back to the show as usual. Oh, and I'm sorry, Bullet, real quick. I'm being told it was T the Queen who guessed it was Paulie. So, T, you will be getting some Axis swag in the mail because I heard a rumor that you don't have enough of that at your house yet. So, I want to make sure the Day House had enough Axis swag over there. Going back to Bullet. Bullet, what's up, buddy?
What's going on, Dave?
Nothing. Hey, by the way, real quick, too, do I sound okay to everybody, or am I eating the microphone again like I did a couple weeks ago? Hopefully, I'm okay. Let me know if
sounds good.
Yeah, let me know if I sound like shit. Bullet, couple things real quick, bro, before you get started. Yep. Number one, last week, was that the biggest shit show you've ever seen since we've been doing this show?
Definitely by far the funniest show that I've been a part of, which is 2+ seasons now. So that was hilarious.
It was a little off the chain for sure. And then second of all, because it was such a shit show, what did that do for your workload?
Well, I have 11 bullet points tonight. I had about 20 down to 12, and you consolidated one to make it 11. So we had we could have done a whole show of bullet points.
Well, I know. So like I said at the beginning of the show, I was the over-under on the time. I'm pretty sure we're going to go over just on this segment alone. So I guess we should probably get started. Last week, folks, if you didn't get a chance to listen to the show, we went 2 hours, and about 30 minutes of it was just nonstop laughing. We just couldn't get out of our own way. So here are some of the highlights. Here are the bullet points from Bullet Beletsky himself. Bullet point number one.
Okay, number one. When introducing Slyn Shady as one of the panelists, Dave wondered out loud why Slyn hadn't been on the show in a while and suggested it was because Slyn doesn't actually like him and or that he was just very lazy and didn't want to stay up that late across the pond for him. Way to build up rapport with your guests, Dave. Note to the SFL, do not ask Dave to speak at your job's team building event.
Let me just throw this out there. England, not my target audience. Okay. just saying.
Fair enough.
Bullet point number two.
Number two. When Dave asked the audience how his new microphone sounded, in the chat, Zach Holdorf was very quick to say, "You sound like a dick." Between that and Slyn, it's nice to see that Dave is keeping his HR department very busy.
I can't help it. And I think he just said it again in the chat tonight. So I think he'll be the last person I start asking questions from now on. Bullet point number three.
Number three, when Dave revealed that Doug Day was the co-host, Doug proceeded to engage in the largest display of ass-kissing we've seen all season. He showed off his Dave Access t-shirt, his one-of-a-kind Access hat, and his Access beer koozie. This got me to thinking, does Dave bribe all his guests to get on the show? And if so, where the hell is my stuff?
Okay, first of all, I just got the email earlier today. Yours got lost in the mail. And then, okay. And I think this must be why T the Queen guessed correctly, because they need more Access Live stuff in the Doug Day household. That's it.
Fair enough.
That makes
Sounds
sense.
Reasonable.
Yeah, you know what? Resend me your address, bro. I'll put a trace on it and see what happened to your gear.
Sounds like a plan, Dave.
Bullet point number, I don't know, 4, I think.
I think it's 4. Okay, when describing Sioux Falls' excellent first half against Atlanta, Slynn said that Sioux Falls had Atlanta by the short and curlies, which is such a sophisticated and sneaky English way to lay down some raunchy commentary while also avoiding the COC. Well done, Slynn.
Slynn Shady. See, I told you, England's my target audience, bro. Bullet
There you
point
go.
number 5.
Number 5, Dr. Sims spoke during the owner's box segment, and when describing how he discovered the SFL, he said he stumbled upon an SFL highlight video and couldn't stop listening to Cam's voice. In the chat, Axel Raven said he tries to fall asleep to Cam's voice every night. And then it hit me. Cam's long game is not to set up a first-class sim football league that's mission is world domination. It's to woo nerds like us who play video games in their basement. Except, of course, for Mike St. Green, who said he threw up in his mouth a little bit when he heard DR's comments.
Dude, Mike St. Green said a lot of stuff last week.
Oh, and we're going to get into it all, Dave.
Oh, here we go. Oh, great. All right, bullet point number 6.
Number 6. Mike St. Green was more interested in dunking on folks than answering any questions from the panel during the owner's box segment. He said that Chad Rowland looks like he's been kidnapped and held at gunpoint every time he's on any show, and that the sun never shines in Indianapolis, which is why Chad's screen is always so dark. He said that it seems like DR Sims' toddler has been 2 for at least 2 years, insinuating that he's milking it to get out of team-related activities. He also said that Cam is trying to silence him, which I'm guessing is because Mike was onto his voice-wooing mind control plan.
Yeah, that's a good Paulie, are you there? Paulie, put your
Yeah,
hand, put 2 fingers up if you need to be rescued. Well,
Just one for right now.
I was going to say, not those
We're
2
good.
fingers.
Yeah, we're
so,
good.
you know, all right.
Yeah, we're good.
Here we go. Bullet point number
whatever. I don't even know.
7, I guess.
No, 7, something like that. Okay, Dave had a mic drop moment when Dave had. Oh, damn, that's a bullet point right there on myself.
Yeah, there
Let
you
me
go.
start over.
Somebody
Dave
clip that for me too.
Dave had a mic drop moment when Mike challenged him as to why Dave still uses the "See You on the Tees" tagline, even though the show doesn't air on Tuesdays and Thursdays anymore. Dave confidently and quickly responded with his new tagline, which is "Because I want you to tune in on Tuesdays on Twitch."
Boom.
This could have been an embarrassing moment for Mike, but he saved himself when he suggested Dave's tagline should be "See you next Tuesday."
Boom.
I think I like that one too, by the way.
I think a lot of people do it. As a matter of fact, I even clipped it and put it in the Access Live server so you guys can hear it live, straight out of the mouth of Mike St. Green. Bullet point number
There
8.
you go.
I think it's
Number
8. I think it's 8.
8. Okay, 8. We'll go with 8. Axel Raven had the line of the night in the chat. Nacho was referring to one of the panelists when he asked, whose phone is vibrating? And Axel responded, that's no phone, Nacho.
Dude, that was in the chat?
That was in the
Oh
chat.
my God, that's hilarious. Attaboy.
I'm all over the place, Dave. I'm watching.
Apparently,
everything.
you're all over. That's why you do this. Go ahead.
There you go. Axel also said later in the show that he prefers more of an arc on his quarterback's balls. Dave unequivocally agreed.
I mean,
Not surprisingly.
can anybody argue with that? Honestly,
Who doesn't like an arc on a ball? You know what I mean?
Hey, Holdorf, should we put that in the poll instead of the Diva of the Week next week? All right, here we go. Bullet point number 9.
Number 9. Mike St. Green had to say it with his chest one last time towards the end of the show and piss in Andy Hamilton's cornflakes when he had nothing but bad things to say about Vancouver's uniforms. The over-under for DMs from Andy to Mike within seconds of hearing the comments was set at a very conservative 5.
I'm taking
I don't know how many he actually sent though, but
I'm taking
5 is a good number.
I'm taking the over for sure on that one, bro.
I agree.
All right,
I agree.
Bullet point number 10. Only 2 more to go, folks.
I think this is 10, yeah. When Mike was done with his stream of consciousness rants, he wondered if it might be the last time he'd be allowed to speak in public for the rest of the season. I think he might be right, but at least he went out in a blaze of glory. I think we need to make an exception and consider Mike for Diva of the Week honors.
Ooh, that's
Throwing it
not
out
a
there,
bad.
Dave.
That's not a bad idea. You know what? We've got 5 Diva of the Week nominees this week, but maybe we'll make it 6. That's not a bad idea, Bullet. Okay. All right, folks. Finally, we are to the end of the bullet point road. Bullet point number 11.
Number 11. While announcing the Diva of the Week nominees, Dave butchered a name about as badly as one can possibly butcher a name when he nominated Ronald Christian Sully instead of Christian Ronald Suey. T. DeQueen can be heard losing her shiz in the background, and that was the cherry on top of a hilarious 2 hours.
Dude, that might be the funniest segment we've ever had. I mean,
I was literally laughing out loud, spilled beer all over my desk. I mean, it was great.
dude, with Tina Queen's cackling in the background was the best. It was so
Yeah,
funny.
man.
She was like, it was like you could hear in her laugh the disbelief that I could butcher a name that badly.
It was hard to do what you did, Dave. Even if you were trying, it was like
See,
almost impossible to do that.
See, not everybody can do that. See, I guess we can.
It's a skill.
We can spin
It's a
that to
skill.
a positive, I guess.
That's right.
If you guys missed that last week, in the Access Live server under clips or show clips, whatever channel we made for that, we put that in there because, I mean, I think I've watched it every day this week, and it still makes me laugh every time. So, all right, Bullet. First of all, thanks for all the extra work. And
My pleasure, man.
I am really hoping that we don't give you that much work again tonight.
I'll be looking hard to top that next week, Dave. But I'm confident we'll get some in there. Don't worry
I
about
wouldn't
it.
be surprised. All right, Bullet, thanks for being here again. We'll see you next week, buddy.
Take it easy, Dave. Thanks.
All right, see ya. All right, folks, before we jump into our divisions, I want to go around the panel real quick. The power rankings going into this week's games that we just had, into week 7, were identical between the coaches poll and the media poll, except that Fort Worth at number 8 and Carolina at number 12 were flip-flops. So that's why I didn't put 2 up, because they were all identical except for one, those top 12. I don't even remember those bottom 4, to be honest with you. So if you were on the bottom 4 and I forgot you, my bad. But for the top 12 especially, and we will start with Josh here. And we'll just take, 30 seconds, a minute maybe at the most. And just, Josh, as you look at the power rankings that were going into week 7 here on the screen, what do you see might be some of the biggest changes that will be released for week 8 this Thursday or Friday?
I mean, I think you got to start with Fort Worth and their big win over Baltimore. I mean, I think that automatic it's a magic ticket that gets you to the power rankings when you beat them, especially at their place. I think they move up, and I think also just looking at Carolina, that pretty impressive win going to 4-2. I think you can see them making a play up the charts there, and then of course Atlanta. I think they're number 1. I think it's hard to argue that against anybody, but I think those are the biggest changes you'll see.
Changes. Okay, Todd. Todd, what about you, buddy?
Sure. I agree with Josh. I think Fort Worth is going to move up in the rankings, and I actually expect to see Las Vegas go up a spot or two. They've been on a tear, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see them go up.
Minnesota played who this week? Let me find that real quick. Anybody know off the top
Thanks
of
for
their
reminding me. They played Florida.
Dude, you know what's? I don't even do that shit on purpose, Tyler. It just happens. That's right. So yeah, with Minnesota losing, Will, I think you're right. I think Vegas will definitely get that jump then. Tyler, what about you? You agree with these guys? You got a different take?
So I agree Minnesota will move down, unfortunately. I agree that Fort Worth will move up, but I think there's a completely overrated team that's in this top 16. How in the heck is DC up at 14, which is top half of the table? They are 2-4 and have looked absolutely appalling on the football field in the last couple of weeks. Yes, they were on their bye week, so we couldn't watch them. They lost to Mexico City with the rookie quarterback last time they played. They lost 17-13 versus Carolina at home. How is DC anywhere near this power rank?
Well, let me tell you this. So I just pulled up the media poll so I could compare them real quick. DC not in the top 16 in the media poll, only in the coaches poll. Do you think it's just a coaching respect thing maybe that's keeping them there then, Tyler?
More than likely. And I don't harp on the coaches too hard because they have a lot more time to game plan than to actually look at records apparently.
Right.
I still have respect for Destro, but there's a part of me that's like, well, if Florida's not on this 16, for the coaches poll. Why is DC anywhere near this top 16?
Right. Paulie, where do you stand as you're looking at this, bro? Just real quick on 13 through 16 on the media poll, it's Portland at 13 again. It's Tulsa where DC is, Canton stays there, and then London's where Sioux Falls is.
Yeah, as far as what I'm seeing, I feel like I have to give credit to Tulsa because they're in a very tough division. They're 4-2 right now. I know they should be in that 14 spot. They may be able to make it into the top 12 after their performance this weekend. But I also have to obviously give credit to Louisiana and Tyler over there. Incredible win last night. An awesome game to watch all around. So I feel Louisiana could move up a spot or two as well on this power rankings list.
Well, that being said, you're assuming Vancouver's going to move down?
Yes, Vancouver will probably move down. They could possibly even move out of the top 10, maybe top 12.
Well, they've got 3 losses now, right?
Yeah, that'll be the third one. So who knows?
I don't think none of these other teams have 3 losses in the top 12, correct? I think everybody else has 1 or 2 losses. So
yeah. So they'll probably
DC
drop.
has 4, so.
And DC now, and Portland has 3, I think. Right? Does Portland have 3 or 2?
Yeah, Portland's 3-3.
Okay. So definitely, and Portland beating Vancouver kind of makes sense that Portland might jump above Vancouver anyway. So, all right, fellas, thanks for the power rankings thing. Let's get into these divisions. Josh, let's start with you. Pacific Division. We just talked about some of those teams. We just talked about Vancouver. We just talked about Portland. We just talked about actually just those 2. We had Doug Day on here last week from Seattle, and LA is having a tough one this season. How did everybody fare this past weekend?
So just not to sugarcoat it at all, Dave. I mean, it was a tough week for this division. We went 0-4. So Paulie and I were hanging out, kind of drowning our sorrows, I think, after this weekend. But I think just to start, I mean, this is officially the halfway point, so I think it's a good sort of checkpoint to kind of also look at like just a whole body of work. Portland, who by the way played in one of the games of the year against Indianapolis this weekend, they are starting to get. I think Cyrus Jive is starting to kind of find his groove a little bit, and that is going to be incredibly important for the Fleet moving forward, because I think that team for the last 2 years has just leaned on Ezekiel for so much of their offense, and the fact that you're looking at the halfway point and he's got about 10 touchdowns, 8 picks. He's making throws in key situations, and so I think even though they dropped a little bit of a heartbreaker this weekend, I really feel like at 3-3 they got to feel pretty good about how they're playing, about how their offense is kind of going. This game, I don't know how many people got a chance to go back and watch it if you haven't. It was a great one. I've never seen a game with so many points where the defense played so well. You had you had a ton of interceptions. You had a safety. You had the defense really setting up field position all day for both of these teams. But really, I think so that Portland didn't come out on top on that one. But again, if you look at the halfway point, they lead the league in turnover differential. They are first against the rush on their defensive side. So a lot to be really hopeful there in Portland. In terms of LA, so I know LA is kind of a hot topic. 0-6. They're going to need some help on offense. I think 4 of the last 5 games, they've really gotten behind it early in the game. 4 of the last 5 games, they have not scored a touchdown in the first half. Other than, again, I think the game against Seattle. So I really feel like this team is playing from behind a lot, not just because of their record. I think they're just in these individual games, they're falling behind, and they're asking Sully to try to pull out 14, 21, 28 point deficits. And you're not going to be able to deliver on that too often. So they really need to kind of get ahead of the sticks. They are, I believe, second to last in points a game, 25th in rushing. So they really got to figure out a way early in that game to really be competitive. And in terms of Seattle, yeah, the 4 turnovers against Sioux City kind of was a little bit too much to overcome. But again, I think at 2-4, uh, I think they're right about on schedule for where I think I think they should be. If I was in another location on the SFL service tonight, I mentioned I think David Harrell is probably the defensive player of the year so far. The way he's playing, they have a lot of good.
Did he win it last year, or he was nominated last year at least, right? Last season.
I believe he was nominated. Us linebackers don't win anything, Dave. But no, I'm pretty sure he was nominated, but I'm pretty sure he didn't win. But yeah, so I think he's been playing well. I think that defense has been showing some improvement. I was on the show. I think it was like after week 1, and I was asked about what was Seattle's sort of benchmark for success, and it's really like the progress of their defense. And it's been they still have a little ways to go, but I think it's been solid. And I think they're like the train's running on schedule for a team in their second year, I think. And then as for Vancouver, tip of the cap to Tyler over there. Good game last night. That was a lot of fun, except for the final score. And 3-3, we've been 3-3 before, a few seasons ago, and we were able to bounce back. So I think that if I could be a little selfish for a second, the defense has played well. And I think we're second in the league against the rush, second in scoring. So in the offense, I mean, it's starting to really click a little bit. Just got to just narrow down the turnovers. That's really, I know football 101, but it's right. I think that gets us there.
Before I have Paulie ask you a question real quick, there was a bunch of people that jumped in the chat a little while ago that I forgot to mention. AJ is in the house. I see her. I saw Cliff Allen pop in. I saw Ethan MX came in. I don't know if that's Ethan Kai or if it's Ethan. What's the other guy's? Ethan Alexander or whatever his name is. I do Twitch names and real names and Discord names. It's hard to remember everybody. And then I saw, who else did I see? Oh, Hacker jumped in. Good to see you. And I think that's it for now. Paulie, what'd you have for Josh over there?
Yeah, so Josh, obviously heartbreaking loss with that game last night, but as far as the Pacific is concerned, do you think that obviously you may be a little biased with Vancouver, but with the way your defense is playing, do you think that at the end of the season you guys will be the number 1 team in the Pacific, or do you think the Portland Fleet are going to hang on to that lead, or do you think all of these teams are going to be looking at Seattle Nemesis at the top of the Pacific Division at the end of the season?
So I'll try to repress my bias as much as I can. But I think people need to tune in week 14. That's Vancouver and Portland play again. Portland beat us a few weeks ago. I believe that week 14 is going to come down to Portland versus Vancouver for the division. I like to think that we're going to be on top here. I think if our defense keeps playing the way we're playing, I think Andy's going to cook something up in the second half. And shout out to James Walters, who as defensive coordinator. I'm not sure if they give out coordinators of the year, but I'm going to go ahead and nominate him very biasly right now. But yeah, I think you're going to see Vancouver just edge Portland, but I think it's going to come down to the last week. I think both teams make the playoffs, and I think Seattle. I think you guys. I like you to finish about 5-7. I think. And I think you're going to be competitive too, which is another thing. It's not going to be, it's not going to just be a record. I think you guys are also going to be pushing people, which is, again, year 2. That's what you want.
Absolutely. No, I definitely hear you there. And hey, with nominating him as a defensive coordinator of the year, I'm with you on that. He's been killing it this season. I've been had an eye on your guys' defense for a while now, and it has just been on fire so far in season 20.
Josh, thanks for wrapping that up for us for the Pacific Division. We're going to move on to the West with Will Todd here. Axel Raven, the construction for my mug thing is going slow because I've changed my mind like 3 times about what I'm going to do. So I'm hoping I even have it done by the end of the season. And then Axel Raven, interesting comment on the Pacific Division. Seattle going to have a 2-game losing streak come next Monday. I'm assuming that they're playing Minnesota. Moving on to the West, though, Will, we were talking a little bit in the pre-show. I mean, what a division. 2 5-1 teams, a 4-2 team, and a Denver team that could beat anybody on any given night. Tell me how this weekend went for the teams in the West Division.
Sure. It really is a wild, wild west, isn't it?
It really is.
We're going to start with Las Vegas by virtue of their win this past weekend and the tiebreaker. They're 5-1, and they lead the division. They're winners of 4 straight, and I think arguably one of, if not the hottest team in the SFL right now. But this past weekend they played at Canton and beat them 34-9. And if you looked at the game stats for this game, without looking at the score, you'd think that the score was either very close, tied, or even with Canton leading. Canton had almost a 10-minute lead in time of possession. And then all the other, passing yards, rushing yards, turnovers, and all that were virtually even. But the big difference was, as Las Vegas has been doing, they've been getting into the end zone. And Canton, they would have long drives, but they would stall and just couldn't, they had to settle for several field goals. They were still close at the end of the third quarter, 17-9. But going into the fourth, Las Vegas slammed the door. They added 17 more points, and they didn't allow Canton another point. So, their stars, Las Vegas stars stepped up. Scott Johnson had another great evening rushing. Arizona's Bane, Mason Kirby, had a big night receiving, 144 yards and a touchdown, and Doug Britton had another good game. On defense, Mark Itera had 2 interceptions and returned one of those for a touchdown. So, they dominated on both sides of the ball, and it is coming to be what we expect from Canton. Arizona is the second team in the West, and we didn't play. We had a bye, so that just gives our mad scientist Eddie Gage an extra week in the lab to hopefully get ready for DC. But we feel pretty confident that the close game that we lost to Las Vegas is a little bit of a hiccup. We're going to get back on the right track and get back to our winning ways. San Diego Mavericks, 4-2. Another, as you said, another tough team in the division. Week 7, they went to Denver, and you guys pulled out a win, 35-24. San Diego got 2 of their 5 scores in each of the second and fourth quarters, and that secured the win. Scar Patterson, I thought, had a great game, high percentage, 0 picks. Of course, Benji Matson had 3 touchdowns. Throw it, hashtag throw it to the tight end,
of course.
And Suda Nakai had 100 yards and a touchdown. So again, your offense was really clicking. Your defense played a great, solid game. And what really surprised me is how well you guys held Bailey O'Shaughnessy. Except for that 60-yard touchdown run, you guys held him to virtually no yards. And it was just a really, really impressive win in that regard. And again, as I said, San Diego played Denver, so Denver bringing up the tail end here in the division. They're at 2-4. They've lost now 2 games in a row. They've got a bye upcoming, so hopefully they can get in the lab and kind of figure out what's going on for them, because I think everybody expects Denver to play at a higher level than what they've showed so far this season. This past game, again, Bailey was held in check. Gene Struthers, the quarterback, had a pretty good game, but again, he just didn't have the firepower to overcome the lead that you guys had built into that. They came back and scored some late points to make it look close, but in reality, for instance, on their defense, their safeties combined for 20 tackles. And whenever you have safeties making that many tackles in a game, then that means the opposing offense is in their secondary way too much.
You know about that San Diego game. Listen, bro, I'm still, we won, and I'm still salty about it. I don't know if you guys saw the game chat, but Cam and I kind of going back and forth about the saltiness and the restaurant, this APF restaurant that I'm not a big fan of. and I'm hoping that the salt's going to taste better in the new restaurant coming up in the new game. But if you take away that stupid decision, well, and I'm sure you've had games like this in Arizona, and my question is going to lead to an Arizona question here, but if you take away the stupid APF, third down at the 40-yard line with a timeout, why would you kick a field goal with a kicker that is that's a copper kicker? Obviously doesn't have the leg, right? So these are the kind of things that really tick me off. It is what it is. And listen, I'm not complaining too much because we all have to deal with the same thing. I'm not saying it's unfair because we all have to deal with the same thing. But if you take that play and do it the way it's supposed to, Shaughnessy doesn't get that 60-yard run, and we kind of end up blowing them out. No disrespect to Denver, but that's the way the score was heading. In Arizona, you guys have had plenty of blowouts, even a couple this year already. And as you see the schedule coming up, our division is a little tough because not only do we have to play each other, Will, but we have to play Baltimore, we have to play DC. We have to play that Atlantic division.
Right.
And you guys have to play actually DC, I think, coming up this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. On Monday Night Football.
Do you see an advantage to anyone in our division? This tight West division that we have. Do you see an advantage to one team over the other to squeak out the divisional title? Because to be honest with you, from where I'm sitting, maybe Vegas, but other than that, I don't think anybody has a real big advantage right now.
Looking at the schedule of the upcoming games, Dave, I really don't, because again, those tough teams that you mentioned are still on the schedule to be played, and we've all three got to play them.
Yep.
So I don't think there's an obvious advantage. Now, clearly, if Las Vegas continues to be as hot as they have played the last 4 games, that you might want to give them a little bit of an edge. But again, your Mavericks and our Scorpions, we're ready for the second half of the season, and we're going to keep playing too. So I really think it's going to be an exciting second half of the season, and really I think that Week 14 game where Las Vegas has to come into Arizona is going to be a game to watch.
Yeah, and I think we play you guys. We come there in 2 weeks. So I mean, dude, to have San Diego, Vegas, Arizona, DC, Baltimore, and Carolina on your schedule is just brutal, man. It's brutal, but it's, you know what? At the end of it, whoever's left standing, they deserve it, man.
That's right.
Absolutely. All right, thanks for breaking down the West for us. We'll appreciate it. Tyler, let's move on to your division, the East. Great win by you guys last night over a really good Vancouver team. Florida gaining steam, as you of all people know. And then, of course, Atlanta, my former team. Just hold on. Let me see if I can get all this. Can you guys see my mug okay? I mean, not this mug, but this mug. Sorry. Atlanta undefeated, looking like a team like they looked way back in, what season was that? Was that season 14 when they won the championship with Dave Axis? I don't remember. But Tyler, how's this division looking this weekend?
Well, since you're all bubbly about a certain team, let's go ahead and start with them, right? I said it last night on the halftime show about Atlanta. There's a couple of things that make a good team, right? And for me, one of the biggest tellers of a team's success is their attack, their offensive attack. And you can average right around 250 yards passing and over 100 yards rushing. You're in a pretty good position. And not only that, they've kept the turnovers to a minimum. Atlanta's done, exactly what they need to. They've beaten the teams they needed to, like walking over Los Angeles this past weekend. And I don't think it's good to talk about LA in a negative light, especially how just porous they've been this season. It's unfortunate. And yes, they are this year a bad team, or this season they're a bad team. But I've rumbled about this certain philosophy privately, but I'm going to openly bring it to the forefront. I'm going to actually ask you guys maybe your quick opinion on this about LA and a few other teams. But who has watched F1 over the course of the last couple of years? If you've watched F1, you know that they went through a major regulation and rules change which completely drastically altered the look and feel of the cars. It was supposed to be in 2020, COVID hit 2022. Anywho, there were teams, especially a team called Haas, the lone American team, that completely just basically said to the 2 seasons they had with the old regulations, we're not going to worry about these 2 seasons. We're going to strictly focus on developing the car for the new regulations. Is LA doing that? Is LA saying, we don't care about this season? This season, we're just going to try, hope of prayer, maybe we get a win or two, but we're not going to try this season. We are going to put our full R&D into the new regulations, into the new
is
that
game.
What they're doing? I think that's what they're doing. But
Interesting.
I'm not in their camp to understand all that, and maybe you guys can help me out.
Anybody want to chime in on that? What they think LA or any teams that are underachieving this season may or may not be doing, and maybe Tyler, maybe not even necessarily do it on purpose, but looking ahead. Like sometimes we look ahead on an opponent. What do you guys think about that? Anybody want to chime in?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if they're putting all their eggs in the next basket in the next hot rod, if you will. But I think I think uh, as you get to this point in the season, I'm sure at this point maybe you can't help but think about next year a little bit more. But I can't imagine. Some of the guys and gals that are over there. I mean, they're competitive, so I can't imagine that up to this. The first half of the season, it was all season 21. I just think that they've just the game plans haven't worked, and I think just and when sometimes when the players are in position, they just haven't made the play. I think it's just been a perfectly bad storm. So that's from my perspective. I haven't seen every game, admittedly, but I think it's just been I would wonder going forward but I can't say that that's probably what they've done the first half.
Rizabit in the chat said, once you are mathematically eliminated, it's smart to start looking at next season to get a head start on those. However, Tyler, to your point, nobody's mathematically eliminated yet, technically, right? Because I mean, LA could win 6 in a row, be 6-6, and be right in the hunt. Will or Paulie, you guys have an opinion on that question from Tyler?
Yeah, as far as where I'm at and where we're at as far as Seattle is, we obviously want to be competitive this season, but we also want to plan for next season to be ready for whenever any information drops as far as what's going to happen. So we are focusing on right now as well as the future. But as far as Los Angeles
Fucking Benji
goes,
in the chat. Sorry, Benji in the chat. Benji says I'm mathematically eliminated. Not with 3 touchdowns last week. You weren't. Sorry, Paulie. Go ahead.
no, you're good. Yeah, as far as LA goes, I want to agree with Josh. I don't think that for this first half in the season they were necessarily all in on season 21, but at this point in the season, I feel like that their focus may shift a little bit towards season 21 and just figuring out everything else with this game. So, yeah, I don't think it's intentional, but at this point, it may need to be intentional to be focusing on next season.
Who is Rizabit in Twitch? I know who that is. I feel like it's oh gosh, I know who that is. Hey, are there any LA lichens in the chat? I'd like to hear from you guys on this.
Where's Yosef? Yosef?
Yeah, maybe. It's Percoco. Okay. Hey, Will, let me throw this to you since Tyler opened up this can of worms anyway. Last week, I don't remember who it was, but somebody, or maybe it was the week before, somebody made a comment on the show. If Eddie, I forget when did you guys lose your first game? Was it last week? Adam Wiseman, that's right, I knew that.
Yeah, it was last week.
So I think then it must have been last week. Somebody mentioned that they thought maybe was Eddie looking or spending too much time in the new game, and that's why you guys finally dropped a game in Arizona. And I don't remember who it was, but I was thinking at the time, and I might have even said it verbally. Well, we're all in the same boat, right? So I don't think anybody should be able to use that as an excuse because we all have to play this season, but we all have to prepare for next season equally.
Sure.
Of course, front offices will be different. The help might be different or whatever, but what's your take on this? And I, without giving away anything, obviously from Arizona, what do you think about what was said about Eddie on the show last week or the week before about maybe looking ahead, and that's why you guys lost that game?
Well, I mean, it was a statement of speculation, but I can tell you, absolutely, Eddie is focused on 21. He's or season 20. I mean, he's focused on this season. We've got other guys looking ahead to 21 and looking at the new game and all that jazz. But Eddie has spent hardly any time looking ahead to next season. He is absolutely focused, and we just went into a hostile stadium, played a really good team, made a lot of mistakes, and that's no discredit to Las Vegas. But kind of a perfect storm of things that happened, and we dropped one. But we're not panicking on our side. We're certainly not phoning it in, and I can say absolutely that Eddie's not looking ahead.
Well, that being said, Tyler, did you finish this division up yet?
No, I've only talked about one team only, and then.
So you remember that whole 5-minute thing? I guess don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, I guess not. We'll do another 2-hour segment. Sorry, Dave. Just quickly, briefly again on LA and Atlanta. The one reason I bring it up is because Los Angeles' offense, all except for the passing yards per game, is back half the league. The offense just hasn't gotten anywhere, and that's where I'm basing some of the speculation on. Defense has played phenomenal, has played pretty well for LA. Of course, 0 wins. Maybe they turn it around later in the season. But let's move on away from Atlanta. Yes, the Revolution. Again, I said it yesterday in the post-game show. It was a fantastic game, Mr. Farnsey and the rest of the Legion. I know Andy will take a while to look at those words, as he typically does after a tough loss like that. But I think the rest of the Legion should hold their heads high. They gave us exactly what we expected, and that was a tough, brutal slugfest of a game where either of us could have walked away with W, and I think both teams should be proud of the result for the play on the field. Again, the win-loss is up to the interpretation of both fan bases. As for Florida, of course, they take down Minnesota.
Of course they did.
My head is getting looser and looser from my neck as we speak. So we'll see what happens if I keep my head by the end of the season. Anywho, Jacksonville. Of course, the topic of conversation in Jacksonville is O.J. Bruin. Solid start to the year. All of a sudden, they lose a few games and start to see O.J. Bruin's true colors in Gen Chat, in regular chat, of how he personally feels on what should happen.
Hey, Tyler, I'm sorry, bro. Is your microphone further away from you than normal?
I might be talking quieter.
Okay.
Is this better?
Yeah, it's better. You're like, it seems like it's kind of going in, and then it comes in, and then it goes out. And just Nacho, that's my Tuesday night. Take the trash out to the curb alarm. But thanks. Oh, hey, Nacho's here. Nacho, I thought you said you weren't here, bro. What's up? That's why I didn't call you earlier. Go ahead, Tyler.
Oh boy. So of course Florida does their thing. They win. On to Jacksonville. We talk about O.J. Bruin, the new face of the franchise in Jacksonville, and how he feels, and we'll see what happens with Jacksonville and the climate over there with O.J. Bruin. Played with him over back in my minor league days. Mike Ryan played with him with Memphis for the one season Mike Ryan was in the minors. OJ's a great kid. He gets a little hot-headed when things don't go the way, like anyone should. Sometimes people take things too far, but hopefully for the Kings, they're able to curtail some of the more explosive reactions from OJ in the future. Though, I'm okay with him showing a little bit of flamboyancy in that regard. He reminds me of Johnny Pickler in a lot of ways, with how Johnny Pickler can be very polarizing in that regard. But I think for the Kings, the defense, they played a decent ball game, except they couldn't turn over the ball while OJ threw 5 interceptions. The defense couldn't help out OJ, and of course with the interceptions, they sent Tulsa up in excellent field position. That goes to show you, with having half as many passing yards compared to the Kings, just goes to show you how much of an impact those turnovers had on field position in that ball game. Jacksonville, they let one get away at home, sadly. But that's the East Division.
So Art's complaining you didn't give Florida, Minnesota enough time.
All right.
So I'm going to give you 30 seconds, because we're behind schedule, and then we still got to go to Pauley, and then we're going to bring it. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Pauley for the Central. Then I'm going to bring Gunny in Then we're gonna do the owner's box. Then we'll do the other divisions, and then we'll do the Diva of the week. We're gonna do it a little different this week. But all right, Tyler, 30 seconds to make Art Vandelay happy. And there's a joke in there somewhere, Bullet, I'm sure, but I'm gonna let it go.
Something. Anywho, 30 seconds on Florida, Minnesota. Well, here's the thing. I can't really tell apart anything between Florida, Minnesota, because you had the exact same number of passing yards, exact same number of third down conversions, exact same number of first downs, exact same number of points in the first quarter and the fourth quarter. The only real difference was one extra turnover that Johnny Reno coughed up, and you guys were to capitalize on. So that's your Florida.
There
Minnesota
you go, Art
breakdown.
Vandelay.
Florida took control with one extra turnover.
See, we aim to please here at Access Live. Yeah, Bullet, I have faith in you, bro. I'm sure you will. All right, Tyler, thanks for breaking that down and making us spend an extra 5 minutes talking about a whole other team that wasn't in that division. I appreciate that. Paulie, before you get started, I think you were supposed to ask Tyler a question, but there's no time for that shit now. There's no time for that shit. Hey, are you using that OBS Ninja filter that fades everything behind you?
Yeah, is it delaying me?
No. Yeah, a little bit. So whenever you use filters, what you do is you got the OBS Ninja window, just minimize it and put it in the background behind your main screen, like behind OBS.
Gotcha.
Or behind Discord, and then you should be okay.
So here's the thing, Dave. I was the one who asked the questions. I changed it up on it.
Yeah, you guys. I missed that in pre-production, I guess. All right, Paulie, tell us about this Central Division. I'm not even going to tee it up, bro. Just do it.
Hey, so as far as the Central Division, again, it's another tough division. It's a tight race. 2 teams 4-2, the other 2 are 3-3. Quick this weekend results. Minnesota obviously lost to Florida. We just talked about that. Tulsa dominating Jacksonville, putting 50 points up on the board. And then Indianapolis sneaking one away from Portland in a shootout. And then Sioux Falls did unfortunately beat the Seattle Nemesis. So as far as where they're at, Minnesota's currently on top right now, but could fall to second after this weekend, after they face the big bad Seattle Nemesis. But what stands out to me is
when you said division, did you just call yourself bad?
The big bad.
Oh, big
Seattle
bad. Sorry,
Nemesis.
my bad. I just wanted to clarify. I didn't want your own teammates getting on you, Paul. I'd be like, why are you calling us bad on the show?
No, absolutely not. But the offensive firepower of this division, there's not a team that has below 28.76 points per game. The deciding factor to me in the Central Division on who's going to be at the top come to the end of the season is whose defense is going to figure it out first. Almost every single team boasting, I believe, 30 points per game. I believe Minnesota has the lowest on that. Yeah, Minnesota only allowing 24 points per game. So I would say that's why they're at the top of the division, is their defense has been the best defense of these 4 teams. But you got to keep an eye on this division because the division's totally up to grabs to me. You could see Indianapolis go on a run the way that their pass offense has been. Colin Pierce to Ryan Roosevelt's been absolutely unstoppable this season. You also got to keep an eye out for Tulsa. Again, they're 4-2 right now on a 2-game win streak. They're putting points up on the board, leading the division in points scored. So as far as where I'm seeing, it's really a toss-up for anyone to come out and lead this division.
So I just want to make sure that I have this accurate, Paulie. Minnesota and Tulsa are 4-2. Sioux Falls and Indianapolis are 3-3.
Correct.
Oh yeah, so I guess that is a pretty tight division.
Yeah.
How about that Tulsa team putting 50? They put 50 on the board this weekend, I think.
50.
And
50 against Jacksonville.
Marco Swift had like 3 or 4 interceptions with a pick. I mean, dude, Tulsa's balling out. Gabriel Manning's having a normal season. I think, dude, I wouldn't be surprised, Paulie, if Tulsa wins this. I know you just said it's competitive and anybody can win, but if you had to lay down money on this, who's winning this division?
If I had to put some money on it, me being a gambling man, depending on what the odds are, like you just said, I think Tulsa's going to sneak out of this division here and go on a little late season run. Teams are really underestimating Tulsa right now, and I'm putting my money on Tulsa to win the Central.
I think most people would have said Minnesota up until the last couple of weeks.
I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, there were all those rumors of, is Minnesota the second best team, and they've lost 2 games since then. So
yeah,
they're a great team. Minnesota's a great team, tough team to play against, as I'm going to play against them here this weekend. But I'm going with Tulsa on this one. by the end of season 20.
Yeah, I could totally see that happen. All right, Paulie, thank you, bro. Appreciate that. We are going to move on to Gunny, and as usual, shocker, we are way behind the schedule. I don't even know why I keep track anymore. We're going to bring Gunny in. Gunny, what's going on, buddy? How are you, man?
I'm good, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing great. I don't know how long you're going to be going, but I'm going to have your music queued up regardless. And you are welcome to start, sir, whenever you are ready.
All right, we're going to do the quick version of the halftime of the season 20 season.
As long as it's quick, as long as it's quicker than Tyler's segment, we should be okay.
We'll do 30 seconds then. All right, the Who You Got record for season 20 at the halfway point, 52-32 out of 84 games. The home versus away, 48 home wins, 36 away wins. That's, again, 84 games. One team has 6 wins. 3 teams have 5 wins. 7 teams with 4 wins. 7 teams with 3 wins. 6 teams with 2 wins. 2 teams with 1 win and 2 teams with no wins. If you look at that, 18 teams have a 500 record or above. So a lot of these teams, and only 12 make the playoffs. All right, the best divisions through the halfway point. The West, 16-8. Second is the Central, 14-10. Also 14-10 is the East. Next up is the Atlantic and the South, both tied at 12-12. The Pacific and the North are each tied with 8 wins and 16 losses. Just some individual records so far halfway through the middle of the season. Passing attempts, 275, Kentez Johnson. Passing completions, 198, Kentez Johnson. Passing yards, 2,216, Colin Pierce, Indianapolis. Passing touchdown, 17. There's 4 teams, Indianapolis, London, Arizona, and Las Vegas. Rushing yards, 848, Ezekiel Love. Rushing touchdowns, 11, Bailey O'Shaughnessy from Denver. Rushing carries, 171 attempts, Ezekiel Love. Receiving yards, 928, Ryan Roosevelt, Indianapolis. Receiving touchdowns, 10, Ryan Roosevelt and Deezer Powell of Queen City. Receiving targets, 89, Ryan Roosevelt. Receiving receptions, 72, again, Ryan Roosevelt. Defensive side, solo tackles, 50 by David Harrell. Assisted tackles, 23, shared by Cayenne Rockefeller and Garrett Hudson of the Los Angeles Lakers with 23. Total tackles is 64, shared by 3 players, Bogey Barr, Alamo City, Zed Markov, Houston, and David Harrell, Seattle. Half sacks, there's 3 half sacks. It's tied by 4 players. Full sacks, 11 by Cyron Yates. Total sacks, 11.5 by Sharon Yates, Baltimore. Tackles were lost, 15, shared by Sharon Yates and Hunter Norwood of Arizona. Pass deflections is 11 by Aiden Davis of Fort Worth. Interceptions, the leader is 8, King Rashid of Motor City. And those are all the stats. Again, Gunny would like to salute tonight's panelists, Josh Farnsey, Paulie Truth, Will Todd, Tyler Falk, and salutes to tonight's owner box guest. Good luck to everyone in the second half of the season. Dave, that is all.
Awesome, Gunny. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate everybody that contributes to the show, Gunny, especially you and your Fire Watch, letting us know week to week who's on fire and who to watch. Also, we got a couple other people jumped in here. Looks like the commish is in the house. Looks like Swole is here. And I thought I saw one more. I don't know who it was. So whoever you were, welcome to the show. All right. Fleeto. Oh, Jacob. Jacob, what's up, buddy? How you doing, man? Long time no talk. I don't know when the last time we had any communication, but it's been a minute. Not very many of them, but it's been a minute. All right, folks. That was Gunny. Gunny, thank you. We're wrap up the other 3 divisions after we do the owner's box, and then go to Diva of the Week nominees, or last week's winner, and then nominees after that. But first, I want to bring in a friend of mine, somebody I respect and admire very much in this league as an owner. He gave me my first break here in the SFL way back in season 14. We got to know each other way back in season 13. And I would like to introduce to the Owner Box segment tonight the owner of Atlanta, the Atlanta Swarm, Mark Chisholm. Mark, how you doing, buddy? Long time. How you been, man?
What's going on, Dave? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you perfect,
All
man.
right.
Just chilling, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm well.
That's good.
Blessed.
I don't know if you've caught any of the other Owner Box segments so far, but the idea here is to kind of get to know some of you guys who've been here a minute. Drop some knowledge a little bit on, what the league was like back in the day before, we had the big bum rush of 2019, 2020, that kind of thing. So let me first start by asking you, so you could tell everybody listening, how did you hear about the SFL and what got you involved in the SFL to begin with?
I found the SFL at the season 5 championship. The Gorillas in DC. And I saw that game, and I just had to find out more about the league, and saw they had a draft coming up. I signed up. I got drafted that next season, Queen City. Eric picked me 8th overall. And that's how I came up with my number for Quanta Shine, 58, because I found this in season 5, and then he picked me 8th in that draft in
that's
season
perfect.
6.
That's awesome. So how did you see the league though? Was it on YouTube back then, or did you find it?
I found it on YouTube, yes.
On YouTube, okay. And it called the SFL then, or was it called something else still?
Yeah, it was SFL.
It was the SFL, okay. So season 5, then you got drafted. How long did you stay in Queen City?
Actually, I stayed in Queen City for that whole season. I was in Queen City that whole season. The first week of season 7, Destro hit me up. I guess he had spoke to Cam, and he was like, he needed help because work was getting busy for him. And he was like, yo, would you coach DC? Come over and help me with them. So I was like, yeah, sure. So I believe I was the last person to actually go to another team, but my player stayed in Queen City for that season.
Well,
And I was the coach of DC season 7 after week 2.
okay, so how did that work locker room wise then? Were you in both locker rooms, or were you
Well,
just
we
in a
didn't have
coach-
locker rooms
Oh, you
back
didn't
then.
have- Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we didn't. We were talking through Facebook. And then we got Slack. There was no locker
Slack,
rooms
yeah.
like we have today.
Okay. All right. So that was season 7. So after season 7, they made a rule where you can't have a player on one team and coach another team.
I don't know if that was an official rule. I know Cam didn't want that. Nobody wanted it. I don't want to be my player on another team and
Right.
I'm coaching DC. Actually, there's a famous play Shine made at the halftime as the clock ran out where he ran down DC's running back, and they could have scored a touchdown and won up that game. But they, Eric Snowden, rest in peace, got ran down by Shine, and the clock ran out right at the half. So that was kind of weird for me that my players did that, but yet I'm coaching DC trying to win that game.
Dude, I can't even, honestly, Mark, I can't even fathom that today. You know how many people would lose their shit if that happened in today's game, in today's SFL?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Real quick side note, panelists, I think I forgot to tell you, if you guys have a question for Mark, throw it in the show chat, and then I'll throw it back out to you guys. Okay, so now we're up to season what? Now season 8.
Season 8. Cam opened up the expansion draft, the expansion teams. And I was awarded a team with St. Louis and Florida, which was Alaska back then.
Okay, and then do you remember how many teams that made back then?
Cam would have to answer that. I don't even remember.
I don't know. I thought Cam was in the chat earlier, but so season 8, Cam, how many with those 3 expansion teams? How many did that make? I know it wasn't very many, but so how did your first season go as an owner in the SFL?
It was amazing because I loved it. We didn't have, human players then. We had, the computer guys. So I was the only person really in the locker room, and all the players I made up.
So the only way you could have extra people in the locker room was if you had coaches then?
Yeah, basically.
Now, if you had a coach though, so let's say I was there and you had me come on to coach with you, I could
You
have
would
a
be on
player
Slack in the same room on Slack.
and Slack, and then I could also have a player on Atlanta, but there were no just players in the league. It was just if you were a
Not
coach.
season
or a
8,
player.
no.
Okay, wow, dude, that doesn't seem like I know 20. We're in season 20, and 8 seems like a long time ago, but in
So it was really just the 15. I want to say 14 or 15 teams then, and it's just the 15 teams really. Those owners are the ones battling each other. So it was a little more personable back then.
right.
That the fight was there, but you wanted to be better than him.
Right.
Because back then Eric was running everything until Mighty did the 3 in a row. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Now, Eric didn't win his in a row, though, did he?
No, he did not.
Okay. So,
Which made him more dominant because it was like spread out over
right.
the first 10 seasons.
Right. He just
that
didn't.
took 4 of them.
He just didn't have a streak real quick and then bounced. He spread it out. Yeah. So season 8, you had a team by yourself. When did you actually start getting human players on the team and in the locker room?
Season 9.
So the next season, how many?
The next season. Season 9, we lost in the semifinals to Chicago, who went on to face Ramos in the championship.
How many players did you have on a team back then?
I want to say I had about 8 guys in the locker room, I believe.
Oh, so that was quite a
8
bit.
or 9.
So there was some pretty decent growth from season 8 to season 9 then.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So, all right. So then you're going through these seasons, and then, season 8, you get your team. Season 9, you start getting people in the locker room. You spend some lonely years in seasons 10 through 13. And then what happens in season 14?
Drafted Marcus.
In 14?
With my first pick.
I thought Marcus was already there.
No, Marcus's first season was 14, either 13 or 14.
No, he was 13, bro. I was trying to get to 14
because he helped draft you.
I was trying to direct you to talk about me.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't work out too well. So you got Marcus in 13, and Marcus was your GM, right?
I got Marcus and Siege in 13, and Marcus was my GM and quarterback.
That's right. Then season 14, you pick up a guy named Dave Axis.
Yes, sir. Drafted. That was the draft in. We were in Boston.
Yeah, the first time was on TV, I think, right?
Yes.
Like Johnny and Phoenix and all
Johnny
those guys
was there.
showed up. Yeah. I remember that. I think
Phoenix was there.
Yep.
A couple of guys were there at the draft. It was a good time.
Yep. I remember
meeting everybody.
I remember watching you on TV that draft.
Yeah, I was up there with Mexico City running back. I always forget his name.
Ray Bentley.
Yeah, Ray was wilding out that night.
Yeah, he was. It was funny. I still see that clip once in a while where he talks about you being pulling the puppet strings, talking all this defense and then drafting offense or something like that. I remember that. Eddie was there. Eddie was there too, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Eddie was there. Andy was there.
Yep.
Kokamish was there.
So
Dags was there with his family.
As you look back at these seasons that we just talked about, I'm not even going to go past 14 yet, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see you start to see the real changes in the league? We can talk about the boom growth, right, in 2019, 2020, but even before that, is it the TV draft? Is it getting people in the locker room? Where do you see where the league really started to change and started its upward trajectory of the boom that it is today?
For me, I would say probably season 10 to 11. The chat numbers started to change. More people were seeing it. So I don't know. The feeling was different. You started to feel a certain way when people were showing up to your game more so than the other team games. So just then when we did the live draft thing, it was just like, wow, all these guys with like-mindedness are coming together, and we could really do something with this.
Yeah, that's so. With chat rank, I was the season I got. I think it was the season. Must have been going into 14 where chat rank was a thing, and so when I joined at the end of 13, I was just blowing up chat as much as possible, right, to get my value up, and then that's the season they killed it. So I wasted all that time yapping for no reason, bro. For no reason.
That's why I had to be an owner, because I didn't do all that chat nonsense. I wasn't gonna be sitting there BSing in there all day and just saying hi like most people were doing.
Right.
Every hour they say hi.
Yeah.
Just to get that number up.
And then it had that slow thing, so you could say hi, but then you'd have to wait a few minutes to say hi again.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, a couple of the panelists have questions for you real quick, Mark. I'm going to ask Tyler to ask you one, and then I think Josh has ones for you as well. So, Tyler, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Mark.
What's up?
Hey, glad to have met you way back at the earlier conventions, and hopefully we get to see you again at the next one location.
Absolutely, likewise, man.
And as a divisional rival, we have the utmost respect for the Atlanta Storm and for your organization. And I've alluded to it a couple of times both on the show and on the halftime show yesterday that you guys have a nice balanced offensive attack, and you guys limited the what else has contributed to your success this season, and where you guys sit right now, top of every poll, top of the standings? Why are you guys 6-0 this season?
For me, it's Swole bringing that defense, man. He has really honed in on his craft, put the time and effort in, and it shows on the field. I felt he was ready to be here 2 seasons ago when I asked him to, but he didn't think he was, and I saw it in him that he was ready, just with the schemes he was coming up with, the aggressiveness. My whole career, I've been less aggressive than him. I'm always the one that's going to sit back. Growing up, you're taught in baseball, don't let the ball go over your head. Never let anybody get behind you. So that's how I play defense with my team all the time. I'll just sit back, because when you get to that red zone, that 20, when you get to the back of the end zone, that becomes the last defender on the field. So if I'm just sitting back, it pushes my guys up. We usually get a turnover inside that zone. But Swole is making it happen the whole length of the field, and it's showing for us.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Josh, what do you got from Mark?
Hey, Mark, how you doing? Nice to meet you.
What's going on, man?
Hey, and congrats so far on this season. You guys have been amazing. I'm just curious. One thing that kind of came up on the show earlier, as someone in your position, I mean, how do you balance? Obviously, you've done a good job because you're 6-0, but how have you, in terms of balancing, putting in all the effort for this season, but also looking forward to the next season with all the changes coming? I mean, how do you balance that?
I'm focused on the here and now. I'm here for season 20. That's what's on my plate every day. That's what I'm rocking with. When season 21 get here, we'll attack that and cross that bridge then. But right now, I'm focused here. The guys in my locker room are excited. They want it, so that makes me, knuckle down and handle what's right here on my plate presently.
We've got a couple more people jumped in the chat. Juan Mississippi's here. It looks like Eddie Gage jumped in, and I thought I saw one more. I said Swole already. Swole's in the house now. Mark, just a couple more questions, then I'll let you go. But we kind of left off at season 14. I think the biggest question when we talk about the East Division each week, and especially at the beginning of the season, the preseason and after week 1 or 2, the question mark has been, and you answered it with Josh. You answered part of it with Josh right now with, why is Atlanta 6-0 this season? But what's happened with Atlanta since season 14 until this season? Where you've had pretty much all the same personnel there still, right? Little turnover. So how do you go from winning a chip in 14 to, I think there's been a couple of seasons where you haven't made the playoffs, and then just right back to being undefeated again this season.
Or 4 straight not making the playoffs. It came down to losing Marcus to the league when he retired. Straight up and down, gold quarterback, 4 animations. That's hard to replace in this game. We bought Dynasty on. He was a bronze. No animations. You know, his stats weren't close to being maxed. So the playbook had to be adjusted for him to make the throws that he could make, because he couldn't make the throws that Marcus could make. So that was a growing period for us, trying to do different things to see if it would work. And as he progressed and got better every season, got back to where we can do what I know how to do.
2 more questions, Mark, and then I'm done with you. I know I said a couple more questions, but a couple is like 3 or 4 in the Axis Live world.
I got nowhere to be, bro. We can
All right.
we can be here, man.
Here's when you look at the league. You've been here since season 5, so you've been here 16. This is your 16th season. How the obvious changes everybody knows, and I ask every owner this. The obvious changes are known. You know, the growth, the portal, whatever. But for you personally, what's been the biggest change and maybe even the biggest struggle with the growth of the league and the way the league has just grown leaps and bounds over the last 5 years or so?
Biggest struggle. Let's see.
I mean,
Probably for me, the growth of the owners' room. To me, you know, I respect everybody in there. They deserve to be in there. They got in there. They got voted in. You know what I'm saying? It's not my league. That's how this is Cam's league. He's gonna do what he want to do. That being said, though, to me, it makes the owner's room look watered down by how many people are in there. It doesn't matter how many owners a team has. That's fine. They don't all need to have a voice, though, in the owner's room. They should have a representative for each team, in my opinion, so that, because you're in there now, you see how the owner's room is. It's a joke. There would be no business run like that outside of the SFL if you wanted to be successful. That's been my biggest hurdle to deal with in this league as an owner.
See, you've been here a minute, Mark. You can get away with saying that. If I say that shit, my DMs are gonna blow up. Here's my last question for you. I have some thoughts on that too, but I'm just gonna let it go because you know what? Fuck it. I'm not gonna let it go. So, what do you think about this?
I mean,
Mark?
that's what it is, man.
No, it is, and I agree with you.
Be real with it.
No, I know, I agree with you. I was thinking more for time, but so for me personally, I half agree with you, right? I feel like the owner's channel or the owner's room is a place for owners. So if you're an owner, you can be in there, but maybe there should be a secondary room or somewhere else where they talk about the issues and where we vote on issues. I know we have that little app thing, but I don't even like that little app thing. It's kind of dumb. But I feel like if you're an owner, you should be in there. It's okay to be in there. But then there should be another room where, like you said, one voice per team. Would you have an issue with having 2 rooms or just a place for owners to congregate and then a place for them to talk issues? Or do you think?
No, absolutely not. That would be fine. Okay. Like you just said, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah,
because I don't speak in the owner's room now as it is. I don't talk in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't talk that much in there.
Yeah, anyway. I don't talk in there because it's like it gets lost in the chat if you try to say something, and then everyone has to voice their opinion. Not everyone needs to be heard in this world.
Right. That part I agree, and sometimes it's overkill for sure. By the way, Benji Matson just put in the chat. This just in, Dave Axis waters down the owner's room. Thanks, Benji. Appreciate that. I don't think that's what he meant, bro. Last question, Mark. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings with the change of the game, the 2K4, the direction the league is going with that, all the changes that are going to happen, and all the all the hurdles that we're going to have to jump through to change everything over, and be on 2K4 for next season already in season 21?
I'm just here so I don't get fined. With that being said, once again, it's Cam's league, not mine.
So
I'm gonna support them.
yeah.
I'm gonna support my franchise. Am I in favor of the switch? Absolutely not. I can't see going from a game made in 2007 all the way back to a game made in 2003. And why people think it's gonna be better, just because you haven't played it, that's on y'all. It definitely is not gonna look better. I don't care whose logo is on the field. But play wise, maybe it is better. I don't know. Like I said, I'm gonna support my squad. I'm gonna support the league because I'm here. I'm putting money into this thing. I want it to grow. I want it to be the best it can be.
So just to clarify, I want to make sure, just so people listening, this is not a deterrent for you to leave the league at all. You're going to be on board regardless of what game we play,
Well, I'm gonna be on board next season.
and then see how it goes.
Yeah, if it's to the point where I just can't even watch a game because it looks terrible, there's no point for me to be here. It don't make sense. I can move on and be okay with that.
Okay. Well, I hope that you enjoy the game, Mark. I think the SFL is better with you. I think it's better with the Atlanta Swarm. There's lots of people that have been DMing me, telling me how they got their start in Atlanta, or you were their first contact. Like Gunny mentioned, Gunny's very first conversation when he joined the SFL was with you. As you already know, my first conversation in the SFL was with you. Fox was in the chat talking about the good old days, about a bunch of us being in Atlanta. Will, were you with Atlanta for a while too? The season after
Yes,
season
sir,
15,
he
right?
was.
Yeah. So Atlanta's a home for a lot of us. And I don't know if you've been watching that, but I'm all decked out in Atlanta gear. I got the Atlanta mug that we talked about, the coffee mug tonight, the hat, the shirt. The SFL is better with the ATL, bro. So I hope you like the new game, and I hope you stick around.
I appreciate that.
You can put that on a T-shirt too, and I won't charge you. The SFL is better with the ATL.
Might do that. We might do that.
Tell Falco to get on that shit. By the way, somebody else real quick asked in the chat, who has the better hair between Falco and Dynasty?
Well, Falco always got that little hat thing on he rocks, man. I don't even know what his hair looks like.
He's
always got a beanie on.
Yeah, I was like, how do you even know that? Because is there an assumption that he has great hair?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either, bro. I don't know, but we'll get to the bottom of that next time you pop on the show.
I got to give it to Dynasty for right now, though.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's got the hair flip. He's got that shit like marketed. So Eddie Gage saying Swole got lots.
Can do that same flip though.
Well, you tell him he's got to get some more airtime. He's got to get airtime, bro.
There's not many of us in Atlanta that like to be in front of the camera.
I know.
So.
That's why Dynasty does it for you, probably. But
yeah, he's our main attraction.
Exactly. All right, Mark. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Thank you for the time. Appreciate the opinions. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of a history lesson tonight about the SFL back in the day, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for shining and getting your own squad, starting as a player, getting your own show, taking the lead and doing big things for this league, man. You're a great reason that this league is where it is now also.
Thank you, bro.
Because of the things you've done and the work you've put in, man. Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Chisholm, the owner of the Atlanta Swarm, on the Owner's Box segment. Hopefully we'll have him on again in the future. I'd love to have him on, you guys, after we're maybe like halfway through next season and see if he likes the new game or how he likes it and give us his opinions. Let's jump back into some divisions here with the Atlantic with Josh. Josh, Baltimore is Baltimore. Took their first loss finally. Carolina playing really strong. Charleston hanging out down there with LA and them. And then DC, I think, me personally, biggest surprise of this division. Tell me, how do you think, if you agree with that, and then also tell me how they did this weekend.
DC and Charleston are easy. They were off. But in terms of DC, it is a little bit of a surprise. They're sitting there at 2-4. I think really when you look at their offensive production. Kevin Say is 23rd in the league in terms of number of carries. And I believe for out of the backfield catching the ball, he's like 13th. I think that's about 15 to 16 touches a game. They need to get Kevin Say the ball more. That's really kind of for me sort of the big takeaway from the DC for what DC needs to do. I think even Gunny had mentioned Kentez is leading the league in passing attempts. So they got that going, but I think Kevin's such a weapon that I think they really need to kind of unleash him a little bit in the second half. For for Carolina, you mentioned, I mean, they huge win. Danny Stinson, huge interception, big pick six to kind of seal that game. That feels like a game that Carolina in the past seasons may have dropped. So the fact that they closed that game, I think that's really good. That bodes well for them. Ike's looking like she's really finding her niche in that offense. 3 touchdowns this week, and Carolina's really on schedule. The big thing for them, the next 4 games are brutal. They have Las Vegas, Arizona, San Diego, and Baltimore. Where I'd combined 19-5.
Wow.
So they really needed to
You know
get
what,
that record up.
Josh? That's a great point because we talked about how brutal the West schedule, but the Atlantic has the same deal, right? Because we're playing each other.
Yeah, it's 2 good divisions that are just going to be bumping heads. So, they really need to break even at these next 4 games to really keep their head above water because there's a lot of talent staring them down in March. But I think they have to be encouraged. Like I said, I think they were their offense. I think South and McBride have a nice balance now, which is kind of working out for them. I think they were like 11 for 13 on third down this weekend. So I think you're finding that their offense is being a little bit more formidable. As far as Baltimore, hey, they lost. I think
That's
that
front page news, bro.
yeah, that's something that in my newspaper days you're splashing that all over the front page. But I think first of all that the video of that game is going to be there are 27 owners who are going to be descending on that game footage to break it down to
Yep.
see what the heck happened. And really, it was just about turnovers. I think the defensive game plan against Baltimore was just phenomenal. So I think that said, Baltimore's fine. Baltimore is still the class of this division. I think they're still, even though they do also, as you're mentioning, they're going to have a tough schedule like everybody else. But I think that one knock. I feel bad for Denver because in 2 weeks Baltimore has a bye week and then they got to play Denver.
Oh no. Yeah,
Denver.
after a
I
bye
mean,
week.
after a bye week, after a loss, when they're they're going to have a little bit extra focus on that. I mean, Denver, please, good luck. But yeah, so that's how I seen that. Charleston, just really quickly, they, you know, they've lost 5 in a row. I think their offense I think is 27th in rushing, 27th in yards per game, 26th in scoring. I think again they just gotta mix up their game plan a little bit to get back on track for them. Their defense has been decent, but I think just a few too many turnovers in key spots. But still, definitely not out of this thing. I think as a team that had who was the number 1 pick in the league. They're gonna still have some. They have some young guys. They're gonna have some growing pains.
Paulie's got a question for you real quick, but if somebody can look up Eddie said in the chat, I feel bad for Baltimore's next opponent. I agree with that. I don't know who that is. But if Eddie can look that up. Paulie, what's your question for Josh?
Yeah, so Josh, as far as the Atlantic Division goes, it's a little more clear cut as who's the favorite in the league or in the division. But as far as that second spot in the Atlantic, do you think Carolina's going to be able to hold on to it, and are they actually the real deal? Or do you think that DC might be able to have a little better second half and maybe turn around their season, possibly steal that second spot in the Atlantic?
I think that DC certainly will turn it around. I think there's too much talent on that side of the house that they won't turn it around. I don't think you're going to see them go 2-4 in the second half of this season. But I think Carolina's for real. I think, like I said, they're closing out games. I've said it. I think a few weeks ago. I mean, Carolina's making the playoffs this year. I believe that. And uh, I think that for DC, they're really gonna again get say the ball. I guess we'll talk, but I think you're gonna see them close strong and challenge them. But I just think Carolina, especially with a 2-game lead on them right now, I think they're a little bit too far out in front.
I hear you.
Yeah, so I guess I misunderstood. So Josh, I guess you were saying, so Baltimore has a bye this week, and then
Yes.
Baltimore. Okay, I got it now. Okay, Eddie was saying, so Denver, yeah, Denver, that sucks for them for real. All right, Josh, thanks for breaking down the Atlantic. Let's move on to the North. A couple surprises, Will, in this division as well. London for sure, and Canton for sure. I think everybody expected Queen City to be where they are just because they're rebuilding, new ownership, new players. Motor City, we figured they'd be in the middle of the pack anyway. But talk to me about, I think both, if I'm not mistaken, Canton and London both 3-3 right now.
Yeah, they're both 3 and
How
both
did
3 and 3.
Yeah, how did this division break down this weekend?
Okay. Well, I talked about the game when I went through the other division that Canton lost to Las Vegas, so I won't go a lot into that game. But Canton, they're 3-1 at home, and unfortunately, of their next 3 games, 2 of those are away against Mexico City and Fort Worth.
Oh, ouch.
So so the immediate future, if that trend continues for Canton, isn't necessarily good into their benefit. But going back to the Las Vegas game, just real quickly, just additional points. Canton couldn't get Kendra going. They couldn't get Robert Johnson going, and like I talked earlier, Las Vegas just handled them like they've been handling opponents the last several games. London is the next 3-3 team. They've actually climbed to 3-3, and they won versus Queen City in their last game. That's the second game in a row that London's won, and they were on fire, particularly in the first half. They threw the ball with impunity. Pickler did great. He was hitting everybody. Vin Kalia and Fox Highwind combined for over 200 yards just in the first half.
Wow.
And the defense kept Queen City's offense under wraps. Now in the second half, London started running the ball more. They had really effective clock management. They ate up a lot of clock. Queen City, they came back and ultimately finished the game with 17 points. They had 3 points in the first half, so they scored 2 touchdowns. But they were racking up big plays, and then the drives would stall, and they'd rack up big plays, and the drives would stall. And unfortunately, London was just too tough for them.
Hey, Axel, throw those in the chat if you have them real quick. Eddie Gage saying, with Will Todd's analytical breakdown, you need to be on more shows. Eddie, I've been trying. It took me 2 seasons to get this guy on one show, bro. Come on. He kept saying Eddie doesn't want me to do your show. That's an inside joke between me and Eddie. Will, let me ask you this, bro. I gotta be honest with you. I think we all agree that that London and Canton are the 2 surprises of the division. Queen City's not gonna sniff the playoffs. As I'm looking at these the standings for the North here, the anomaly or I don't even know how to describe them. I don't know if you saw the show with Bo a couple weeks ago. He called Motor City their offense like drunken master because you don't know what to do when they come at you and whatever, right? They're sitting at 2-4. Do you see Motor City making a run at this division, or is it literally going to be between London and Canton? Now, Canton beat London, which I corrected myself on the last show, but they play each other again, so it could just come down to that game with those 2 teams. But does Motor City have a chance to sneak out this division?
I really don't think so. I think until they put together a string of convincing wins, it's just going to be hard for them to break above London and Canton. And to be honest with you, I see Canton and London on two different trajectories right now. London is playing, I think, better ball, and if they continue to play in the upcoming weeks, now of course they've got a bye next week, but then they play Fort Worth. And then they play Motor City. So if they win those two games, I think the division is probably going to London.
Yeah. Well, Axel Raven, I asked him to put those stats in the chat. He's Canton points per game, which we knew in San Diego. They only going to the San Diego game, they were averaging like 15 points a game. I think they scored 13. When was it 13-10 or 16-13, something like that. And it looks like they're still averaging. They're averaging 14.3 points per game, where London's averaging over 35 points a game. So that alone in this league, when you could put points on the board, Will, I think favors you in this league. Would you agree? Because they say defense wins championships. I don't know if that's necessarily true in APF.
Having a good defense is a great luxury to have, but if you can't score points, you're not going to win many games.
Agreed.
That's at the end of the day.
You have to score points to win the game. the top-notch analysis here on Access Live, folks. All right. Will, thanks for that, buddy. Appreciate it. Moving on to my second favorite division, Tyler, the South, where I spent many a season and was the most competitive division for many seasons. As you go in to break this down, do you still consider this top 2 or 3 division in the SFL?
Well, obviously, I still consider this one of the best divisions out there, because even though teams have changed locations, quarterbacks have is trying to fill the shoes of legends, this still is a very competitive division. Houston's having an off year, but we've got still 3 really close teams, and with how the league is shaped out right now, I mean, it's still probably top 3. Central Division is right up there. East Division, of course, is always competitive, but I still think it's a top division. And here's why I talked so long about the East Division, because I only got to cover 2 teams here in the South.
Is that what we're doing? Balance time now, Tyler? Is that a new thing we're doing?
Just a little bit of balance time. I'm taking some from putting it into there.
Hey, just Paulie, make sure you get to ask the question this time, okay?
I got you.
There we go. All right, let's get into the Houston-Carolina game. For Houston, it was the turnover bug that got them. I should say didn't get them, because Carolina had 3 turnovers, but Houston only had 1. What was the big deal from Houston? It was the point. Not able to convert on third downs. 2 of 10 on third downs during the game versus Carolina. The defense for the Skyhawks swarming all over the field with some very clutch tackling. But the headliner, of course, was the Fort Worth Toros taking down Baltimore. And there's 2 factors to that. And Farnsey alluded to it earlier, is the interceptions. And a couple of those came in the red zone. One, in fact, in the end zone itself. 4 of them in total. They beat. Well, that was the only thing that Fort Worth beat them on in terms of statistics. Fort Worth were only 4 of 11 on third down. Baltimore 8 of 16. Baltimore had a 4th down conversion. Worth didn't. Passing yards, just under 30 yards less. Time of possession, 4 minutes less than Baltimore. There's a term that our British fan will know very well, is Baltimore got mugged at home by Fort Worth, because if you look at the stats, it should be Baltimore on top, but it was the clutch defending from Fort Worth, and the fact that Fort Worth had 5 guys with a yards per reception of 10 or more on the ball game, compared to Baltimore's 3.
Right. That was it, huh?
That's it. Yeah, it's very quiet.
I'm like, where's the other 7 minutes? I mean, shit. Paulie, what do you got, bro?
Yeah, so Tyler, as far as the South Division is concerned, obviously you have the Houston Heartbreak having an off season, as you said, but you got a feisty Alamo City team. You also then have Fort Worth coming off a big win against Baltimore, and Mexico City, who's also on a 3-game win streak. As far as the South Division goes, who do you see at the end of the season on top of the South Division, and will there be two teams in the playoffs from the South Division?
The South is always tough to call. It's always tough to call. And at the beginning of the season, we knew that Mexico City would maybe be off the bandwagon just a little bit with the legendary Matt Wilson departing the field one final time. We didn't really know what to expect from Fort Worth. We know they would be there, and we know their defense would give teams a holler. Didn't know exactly that they would go into Baltimore and win in Baltimore. We'll touch on more on that here in just a little bit. But Alamo City, of course, former Lone Stars. So that's always, they've had the coaching staff and caliber of team to make deep runs. Of course, a championship run a season or two ago. So I really don't know what to. It's pretty much putting the three teams that I had at this point and pulling one out of the hat. That's what it's going to come down to. And we could very well see all three of these teams in the playoffs if they don't beat each other up too much to end out the season.
It's almost becoming a surprise, Tyler, if three teams don't make the playoffs from the South, right?
Absolutely. It's a tough division to play against. It's an even tougher division to be in and come away with the divisional crown.
Hey, real quick. So I text Lisa's downstairs listening to the show as my lovely, amazing wife does, puts up with me, my show for 2 hours. So I just text her because I mentioned, I mentioned on at the beginning of the show that we're leaving, we're hitting the road right afterwards. So I sent her this text message. I said, we are running late. And I don't know if I could even put it. Oh, it's not going to show. Or you can't. This GIF with this guy, he's just like total shocked face. She's like, yeah, no shit. I know you. That's hilarious. All right. Thanks for breaking down the South, Tyler. Eddie Gage, ask Tyler, who does he have winning the South? You want to answer that while I set this up, Tyler? In like 10 seconds.
Man, this is. If I would have to go with my gut feeling, it wouldn't be Fort Worth. It wouldn't be Mexico City. It would be Alamo City with the game behind right now, halfway through.
Yeah, I agree with that, actually.
Even with Fort Worth beating Baltimore, I would still say Alamo City.
We're going to move on to Diva of the Week, but look at Lisa in the chat. See, I told you she was listening. She listens all the time. Bob Funk, you haven't won yet. We got to get to 11 o'clock. So we've got 14 minutes to do Diva of the Week, all the pick'ems, and sign off. Let's see what we can do here. First and foremost, when we get to Diva of the Week, I do need to make this one thing. Hold on, I got to say this one thing. I need to make a correction from last week. Last week's winner was Christian Ronald Suey. For those of you who messed it all up. However, this week, the Diva of the Week winner was decided by only one vote. So the person who finished second can blame their teammates for not enough votes. This person literally only won by one vote. So Diva of the Week winner this week is Nate Hall for his hit on somebody. I don't even want to try to remember their name because I'll probably butcher it anyway. But his hit, and I guess standing over him, he was nominated by Frank the Franchise Wade last week. But one single vote decided. Oh, it was second place was the Canton generic backup quarterback, Tech something or whatever. He finished second by one. So Canton, you let your boy down over there in Ohio. So there you go, folks. Nate Hall is your week. I don't even know what week we're on now. Week 7 Diva of the Week winner. At the end of the season, I'm keeping track of these. We'll post all these graphics, and we will have a Diva of the Year winner. I believe we've had 2 Diva of the Year winners so far. The very first one was Johnny. I believe Kendra was the second one. So we'll see who is your Diva of the Year winner this year. Yes, Bob Funk. Tex Grigg. There you go. Tex Grigg. He finished second by one vote, Bob Funk, because you didn't vote for your teammate. I know Bob probably voted. All right, folks. Let's get on to this week's Diva of the Week nominees, if I can find the right slide. There it is. Starting with you up there, Josh. Hold on a second. There we go. Josh, who is your Week 7 Diva of the Week nominee?
So I have a very specific diva this week, Dave. I have a red zone diva.
What?
I have a red zone diva who he tree routed his way to 3 different touchdowns. He was someone I think you might know a little well.
Maybe just a little bit. Let's check it out.
In a West Division tussle, and Scar Patterson throwing to the end zone, and that is caught for the touchdown. Benji Matson, number 3 on the night.
I know where my vote's going, just FYI. I mean, come on, a hat trick for a tight end. Will, I know you have a different nominee, but you got to admit, a hat trick for a tight end, pretty impressive, man.
Well, you know, I love Benji. I love the fact the tight end got three touchdowns, but my recommendation, and Josh actually mentioned him earlier when he was talking about the Atlantic Division, the Carolina versus Houston game. Houston's driving with 41 seconds left for the potential win, and Danny Stinson picks off the pass on the Carolina 24 and returns it for a touchdown to seal the win.
Row number 47, Berber. It's going to be intercepted. And running back the other way is Denny Stinson, the linebacker. He's got green grass in front, and nobody will catch him. You can kiss him goodbye. Touchdown, Skyhawks. Oh, and that's going to do it. Oh, my gosh. What a play.
Well, that was pretty impressive too, Will, I guess.
Well, inside linebacker,
yeah,
long
pick six.
return.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that he outran anyone, to be honest with you.
Well, I was hoping he'd drop that trailer, on his way to the end zone.
So, yeah, real quick, Bob in the chat, Bob Funk, Dave, I posted that link in our locker room. Blame. Yeah, it's all Mike's fault. I agree with that. And Eddie Gage, what's he saying? He's trying what? Oh, trying to get Will Todd. That's all right. Will Todd going to that third tight end offense in San Diego next season. You heard it here first. All right. Tyler, who do you got for your Diva of the Week, Week 7 nominee?
All right. This last happened in March 13th, 2021. Nearly 2 years and 31 home games in SGO Stadium.
What?
All of a sudden, here come the Toros to win in their first ever meeting versus Baltimore. Fort Worth Toros as an entire organization are my Diva of the Week.
What an outstanding game by both of these teams. And Fort Worth, congratulations to you for taking down the big dogs of the SFL.
And there you have it. Fort Worth going into Baltimore, Tyler. This isn't just like a home, home cheese kind of thing. They went into Baltimore, bro. That's pretty impressive. I agree. So 3 very impressive nominees so far. Paulie, you about to make it 4? Who's your Diva of the Week nominee for Week 7?
My Diva of the Week nominee is going to be none other than a good friend of mine and my mentor in Lexington, Marco Swift, who had 4 interceptions this weekend.
Yeah.
When I tuned into his game, he had 3 in the first half, and then I wasn't able to catch the rest of the game, but then he had a pick 6 to add on the hat trick already. So Marco Swift is going to be my nomination this week.
Dude, all of these are so good. Let's check out Marco's highlight.
Hunter Norwood in the chat is asking Jacob, what time is it over there for you right now?
Oh, there you go.
I honestly haven't checked.
And look at this. Marco Swift with his 4th interception. He may be taking it to the house. That's at the 20, the 10-5. Touchdown, Tulsa Desperados.
Well.
Yeah, Gunny adding in the chat, that was Tulsa's scoring record of 50 points, franchise record in that game as well. That was pretty good. All right, so we're down to the 5th and final Diva of the Week nominee. Now, I don't know if you've been paying that much attention tonight, but I have a little theme going on with my hat. I have a little theme going on with my shirt. I have a little theme going on with my mug. And I had a little theme going on with tonight's Owner Box segment guest. So you can imagine where I might be going with this Diva of the Week nominee, none other than Don Fletcher himself from the ATL, who not only had a key pass deflection, but also had an interception. And on top of that, he's like, oh, 1 Diva thing, not enough. Oh, 2 Diva things, not enough. Let's do a 3rd Diva thing right here.
4th and 3, and they'll have a chance to have the ball
probably deep in their territory. And blocked! Atlanta got it! And it's picked up, and Atlanta has fantastic field position at the 44-yard line. You saw it coming all the way through, and it's Fletcher who picks it up.
Did you see him get up and turn to the punter and say, "Do you like apples?" Anyway. All right, folks. There are your 5 Diva of the Week nominees for Week 7. Our very good helper, our very pleasant, never complaining, never swearing, always nice helper, Zach Holdorf will have that all ready to go in the server for you momentarily this evening. Good Dave Hunting. There you go. Hey, Fox, way to go. Do you like apples? All right. Listen, we've got 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh. Do you think we can knock out these picks in 6 minutes? Let's see. It's going to be close. Let's see if Bob Funk's going to lose his money tonight. We're going to move on to the – what do I do? What did I do? Oh, I hit the wrong button. All right. Predictions of Pick'ems. Here we go. Let me catch everybody up real quick. I added up everybody's picks over the first 6 weeks that we did, the 6 shows that we did. Your single week percentage winners are Josh and then Daniel and Slyn, 85, 85, 82. Josh, I'm sure, plans on fucking that up here this evening. Multi-week, Frank has had 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks he's gotten 60% right. Tyler's been here for 4 weeks, 55%, and Axel Raven 3 weeks at 43%. What is Holdorf saying? I feel sorry for Lisa having to wait on Dave. Well, I got 5 minutes, so if we can knock these out in 5 minutes, I'll be good to go. I told her 11 o'clock, so we'll see. It'll probably be like 11:01 with my luck, though. All right. So remember, we're not going to break these down. We're just going to whip right through them and get the hell out of Dodge. So, TikTok, motherfucker. All right. Friday night, 8 p.m., Vancouver at Florida, and we're just going to go around the horn. Josh.
Vancouver's got this.
Vancouver. Will.
Florida.
Tyler.
Chop, chop, Florida.
What? What, Paulie?
Florida.
Game 2 on Friday evening, 8:15 p.m., Houston and Queen City. Josh.
I got Houston.
Will.
Houston.
Tyler.
H-Town.
Wow. Nobody's loving Queen City at all. Paulie, do you love you some Queen City or no?
I got to go with Houston on this one for the clean sweep.
Clean sweep. Third game, Friday night, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, Minnesota at Seattle. Josh.
Block ears, Polly. Minnesota.
Minnesota. Will.
Sorry, Dougie. Minnesota.
Is Dougie still in the chat? Tyler.
Minnesota!
Dude, when do you not pick Minnesota? Paulie, at least we're going to get one Seattle in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Attaboy. All right, nightcap on Friday night, 10:45 p.m. Charleston at your San Diego Mavericks. I've never done that before, but I just had to do that. Josh, go ahead.
San Diego.
Will.
San Diego.
Tyler.
San Diego.
Paulie.
San Diego.
Nice, clean sweep. Way to jinx us, you assholes. All right, moving on to Saturday, 1 p.m. Canton at Mexico City. Sorry, Josh.
Mexico City.
Hold on. I messed it up. Okay, Will.
Mexico City.
What time is it? 57. Shit. Tyler.
Aztecs.
And Paulie.
I'm going to go with the Canton Classics here on this one.
Really? Interesting.
I am.
All right, we'll see what happens. He's going for the record over here. He's going to go against all the favored. 1:15 p.m. Sioux Falls at L.A. Josh.
LA gets win number 1.
Ooh, good to hear. Will.
Sioux Falls.
Tyler.
Sioux Falls.
Paulie.
I'm going to go with LA.
Ooh, LA getting 2 votes tonight to get out of that losing streak. 6:30 p.m. Portland at the ATL on Saturday. Josh.
ATL.
Will.
Swarm.
Tyler.
At the Hive. The Swarm.
Paulie.
Atlanta Swarm.
Okay. 6:45 p.m. Jacksonville at Indianapolis. Josh.
Ryan Roosevelt, MVP frontrunner.
We don't count. I'm sorry. Hold on, bro. We don't count the first 5 minutes, bro. That's before time. 11 o'clock is the cutoff, which we're not going to make now. Holdorf, because you're making me stop time to explain this shit to you. Add 30 seconds to the clock, please. All right, Josh. Sorry. Go ahead.
Indianapolis.
Will.
Indy.
We should race. We should race every week, like the whole show. Tyler,
Indy.
Stop. He's like, stop reading, jackass. Oh shit, Paulie.
I'm going with Indy as well.
Indy with the sweep. I don't know where the fuck we are. Louisiana, Tulsa, 9 p.m. Saturday. Josh.
Tulsa.
Will.
Tulsa.
Tyler.
Rebs.
And duh. And Paulie.
Tulsa.
All right.
This is one of the first times I picked Louisiana.
Oh yeah, that's true. You usually do pick against your own team. Is that why I heard you're on the block? You're on the trading block.
No.
Let me see here. To Motor City at Alamo City, 9:15, the nightcap on Saturday night. Josh.
Alamo City.
Will.
ACA.
Tyler.
ACA.
And Paulie.
Alamo City.
Okay. Monday Night Football. Arizona at a struggling DC. Does DC bounce back, Josh, and give Arizona their second loss in a row?
Fighting Will Todd's Arizona.
Will?
Go Scorps.
Fighting Will Todd's. Oh, Tyler.
DC need to be removed from the top 16. Arizona,
yeah. And Paulie.
Another clean sweep, Arizona.
Okay, it is 11 o'clock on the dot. Freddie, get in here and sing quick. Hurry.
Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end. Let's call it a night, the party's over. Until next week, we'll try to rush through it again.
Dude, somebody clipped that, and I hope that's on Bullets things for sure. That was awesome. Freddie, thank you. Thank you to Freddie. Thank you to Gunny. Thank you to Bullet. Thank you to Mark Chisholm, Tyler, Will, Josh, and Paulie. Thank you, everybody. And in the wise words of Mike St. Green, see you next Tuesday.